Welcome to Lewis and Clark. I'm Bruce Suttmeier, Dean of the College and a professor in the World Languages Department. And although you've been hearing it quite a bit the past few days, and we'll probably hear it quite a bit more, let me repeat it. We're really glad you're here. In a normal year, I would be meeting with all 500 plus of you in the chapel. I'd be giving a preview of the academic fair. I'd talk about your first day of class. I'd show some slides. A lot of things are different this year, and we'll get to that in a minute. But let me talk about what isn't different. Lewis and Clark saw something in your application, and thankfully for us, you've decided to come here. It's no doubt very hard right now to imagine what your academic path at Lewis and Clark is going to be like. Some of you will be chemistry majors, others may be music majors, some will go overseas to Africa, or some to Japan, some to Australia. I myself was a math computer science major who, in my sophomore year, on a complete whim, decided to take Japanese. I loved it. I took summer classes, I went abroad, and by my senior year, my advisor told me that I had enough classes for a second major. Now, I come from upstate New York. My high school class was 86 students. The only foreign language we had in my high school was Spanish. I don't even think I knew anybody who was Japanese before I came to college. All of you come from diverse backgrounds and have had very diverse experiences. Some of you know what you were good at in high school. Some of you have a very clear idea of what you want to do in college. And some of you don't. And that's okay. Now, there was no way in the world I was going to be a professor of Japanese. No way I was going to be a dean of some college 3,000 miles from where I grew up. I had never even been west of the Mississippi when I went to college. I couldn't imagine it. I was good at math. I figured I would take a computer job with IBM or somewhere pretty close to where I grew up. You know, but then I walked into that Japanese class and I loved it and everything changed. This is going to be an unusual year, certainly an unusual fall, and you see that already. Taking classes on campus, living on campus, being on campus means wearing a mask, it means social distancing, and these things are really important. But I hope that the sense of academic exploration, of trying different classes just because they look interesting, is something you can start this year. You may have never thought about being an actor and you take Theater 1. You've never thought about studying abroad, but you go to the information session to check out programs on New Zealand or India. These are places and these are programs that probably seem incredibly remote and unimaginable right now, and that's okay. I've asked some of my colleagues to speak this morning, and after this session, you'll be meeting with your academic advisor, with your faculty. I'll be meeting with my new advisees. I encourage you to talk about how you're doing, of course, but also think about beyond this week, beyond this semester, even beyond this year, to your larger academic career here at Lewis and Clark. That's what we are here for, to help you think about that and to take chances and to hit dead ends. And that's okay. I know that I hit a number of dead ends my first semester in college. And really, it was complete and utter surprise to me when walking into that Japanese class charted me on a new path in life. I look forward to talking to you about what that means during your time here at Lewis and Clark. Welcome. We are really glad you're here.
Greetings. I'm Rob Kugler, the Paul S. Wright Professor of Religious Studies and Classics here at Lewis and Clark. Please accept my hearty welcome to all of you as you embark on your Lewis and Clark education. In 2018, I delivered the convocation speech to many of your new peers here at Lewis and Clark. It's too long of a speech to share with you today, but I want to give you a sense of the speech's contents and explain why I think its message is even more important today than it was then, and to help you appreciate how well you have chosen to pursue a liberal arts education now, in this particular time in history. I made that speech at a time when our government had been separating children from their parents at the border, when people were arguing that Muslims should be banned from entering the United States, when we were seeing leaders go fully public with the denial of science and its indictment of how we have handled the planet's resources, when we were beginning to wonder if democracy itself might be under real threat. At that time, I argued to our incoming students that they too had chosen well in coming to Lewis and Clark, to an institution that delivers a liberal arts education, one that's marked by its breadth and the diversity of intellectual perspectives it exposes you to. My point was that a liberal arts education with such rich diversity in its offerings helps you develop the capacity to see the world from a wide variety of critically examined frames of reference. Put more simply, this is the sort of education that allows you to see the world through the eyes of your neighbor, your friend, the stranger, and even those who oppose you, and to understand and appreciate what it is that they see so that you might be in fruitful dialogue with them and craft solutions to the problems we face. Whether we're rich or we're poor, whether we're Democrat or Republican, person of color or not, no matter our gender identity and all the rest, that's what it is to be liberally educated, to take the full measure of the education that you begin today. It's to hone the ability to see the world through the eyes of your neighbor, to craft a better world for all of us for tomorrow. In 2018, the world urgently needed such people. Now, in 2020, the need is many times more urgent. Our capacity as a human race to see the world from each other's perspectives, as people who share the same basic DNA, the same planet to live on, the same air to breathe, and a common faith that globalization is made inevitable, our capacity as people more alike than different to see the world through each other's eyes, it has diminished, not increased, since 2018. Our struggle to do this is epitomized in something simultaneously trivial and yet deeply fateful: mask wearing in the time of COVID-19. Few things are as easy to do, and yet so consequential for our neighbors as wearing a mask in public. You know the statistics. Probably 40% of those infected with the virus are asymptomatic, and wearing an approved mask reduces your capacity to expel air that could be carrying the virus by up to twice that percentage and more. It's not rocket science. It's a trivial thing, putting on a mask. And at the same time, it could save your neighbor's life. And yet, Americans are fighting in grocery store aisles about it. Talk about a failure to see the world through the eyes of the other, a stubborn unwillingness to live cooperatively. And so I come back to what you are here to do now, the educational journey you're embarking on today. If you play your cards right, if you open your mind to what our diverse faculty in the humanities, the arts, the social sciences, the mathematical and natural sciences can teach you, if you remain open to conflicting points of view on how to see the world articulated among the faculty, and so long as we respect the fact that you should learn all of these perspectives in their own right and never settle on one now that each of us might prefer, if you and we meet those conditions together, you will be the ones prepared to meet the challenges and complexity of the world that so desperately needs open-mindedness and open-heartedness these days. You, the liberally educated, will be the people who can craft the future we need to survive on this planet and live in peace and cooperation. So I want to close with a simple admonition and an equally simple idea. The admonition is this: every time you step outside of your room on campus or outside of your home off campus, wear your mask. The idea is this. Remember that doing so expresses your commitment to do what your liberal arts education will teach you to do with ever greater sophistication and richness. See the world through the eyes of the other toward the goal of serving the other's needs, perhaps even saving her life. Be well. See you in class.
Students, welcome to Lewis and Clark. I'm Liz Safran from the Environmental Studies program. 3 years ago this week, I spoke to the incoming first year and transfer students about the balance between planning and improvisation for coping with the unexpected. I'm a geologist who studies disasters, so such things are never far from my mind. Who knew that in such short order we'd all get so much experience managing the wholesale disruption of life as we knew it? The first, second, and third line of defense against disaster is planning, and there's good reason to do plenty of planning in college. Know when the ad drop deadline is, strategize about registration priorities, take general chemistry early, you potential bio majors. But disasters also reveal that you can't anticipate all that will happen and all the ways you'll need to respond during times of sudden change. Improvisation is an inevitable part of responding effectively to crisis. This was evident long before the present pandemic. Avidan Rodriguez and his colleagues described the many ways that hospital workers, search and rescue operators, hotel employees, and neighbors extended their roles or adopted new ones to manage after Hurricane Katrina in 2005, including a group of 11 friends who commandeered boats and spent 2 weeks rescuing marooned neighbors. James Kendra and others, reflecting on the remarkably successful evacuation of Lower Manhattan by boat on 9/11, suggested that any attempt to pre-plan the evacuation that unfolded would have immediately been met with a variety of objections to the kinds of rule breaking that actually happened, like exceeding the authorized capacities of boats or picking up people at high seawalls. But these efforts succeeded because the people who executed them were well prepared to improvise. The rescuers in New Orleans had intimate knowledge of their neighborhood and the people in it. The evacuation of Lower Manhattan was aided by experts who spontaneously deployed their skills, like the port captain of a private shipping company who became an impromptu waterfront coordinator when water traffic got heavy. Though it may sound as oxymoronic as jumbo shrimp, I suggest you use college to prepare yourself to improvise successfully. This advice is not just disaster talk. It applies broadly in a rapidly changing world, I think. Val DeFabo, CEO of the New York branch of national advertising agency Deutsch New York, said, "I find that liberal arts thinkers are the ones that try to problem solve and don't just draw on experiences and skills from school. This industry changes so rapidly, I'm not sure what you'd learn as a marketing major would prepare you properly for what marketing will look like in the future." The point is not that you should abandon efforts at mastery. The point is that you may end up using your skills and knowledge in unexpected ways, and you should be ready for that. How do you prepare yourself to improvise? By definition, disasters are events that overwhelm the capacity of local infrastructure and institutions to cope. So most often, people help and are helped by those immediately around them. Our safety literally depends on the care of others and on understanding the distinct needs and abilities of those around us. Now more than ever, this reality is laid bare. Somewhat ironically, 3 years ago, I exhorted students to build resilience by bridging social distances and differences. Now, social distancing is the mandate of the day. But even as we scrupulously maintain physical distance, I urge you to use the present moment of disruption creatively and find new ways of extending your communities, of building the social capital that not only comes in handy for getting jobs, but that is increasingly acknowledged as the real key to resilience. This semester, you'll see evidence of careful planning all around you. Yet if 2020 has taught us anything, it's to expect the unexpected. Let navigating the times ahead, strengthened by the communities of your making, be your first college lesson in resilience and in lifelong planning to improvise well.
Hi, I'm Katie McFadden, and I'm the director of the College Advising Center. And in this session, we'll talk a little bit about how advising works at Lewis and Clark and describe some of the opportunities you have this week and beyond to connect with your advisors.
I'm Heather Miner, and I am a college advisor also, and welcome to Lewis and Clark.
My name is Catherine Leibel, and I am also a college advisor in the College Advising Center.
All right, so let me share my screen here, and I can show a few slides about advising. So we have what I would call a hybrid advising model at Lewis and Clark, and that means you're paired with at least 2 advisors all the way through. So first, you have a CAC, College Advising Center advisor. That's a full-time staff member, one of us, or maybe Katie Lemon, who couldn't join us today, but is the other member of our team. And you may be connected with us this summer by email, or we talk by video or phone. We help students in the summer before they start, all the way through to graduation. So you can meet with us at any time, especially to do kind of big picture planning, 4-year plans, maybe compare major and minor options, think about how overseas fits into everything. And then in addition, we also pair you with a faculty advisor. So this faculty member is who you're going to meet with today at 10 o'clock. And the faculty advisor is your main point of contact for academic advising. You're going to meet with them before registration each semester. And they're going to help you, get to know classes in that department and think about your schedule each semester. And when you declare your major, for most people that's around sophomore year, the faculty advisor will swap out for a faculty member in the department that you're declaring. So in this way, we're giving you multiple perspectives and multiple people you can talk with and ask questions to all along the way.
So right after this session, you will be talking with your faculty advisor. You can use this time to talk with your faculty advisor about your fall schedule and any changes that you might want to make to your fall schedule, because starting tonight at 7 p.m., WebAdvisor will reopen registration and you'll be able to make any changes you want through until 11 a.m. tomorrow morning. Also, in this meeting with your faculty advisor, you can think about the meeting as a chance to get to know your advisor better. What courses do they teach at Lewis and Clark? What are some of their research interests? What is the best way to reach them if you have questions for them? You can help your advisor to get started to get to know you too. What are your goals? What drew you to Lewis and Clark?
So if you have questions, we want to show you how that you can book an appointment with an advisor in the College Advising Center. So I'm going to share my screen and show you how that's done. So in order to get to the College Advising Center website, you can just search College Advising Center in the main Lewis and Clark website search bar, and you'll be brought to our homepage. To book an appointment with an advisor, you can come down to this button here called Book Now, just click in. And this page will bring you to each of our advisors and their appointment availability. If you have no preference on who you meet with, you can always click into No Preference. And this will bring up the advising availability of all of the advisors, and so you can meet with whomever at a time that's convenient for you. Back on the homepage here, we have our calendar of drop-in advising hours. So starting next week, we're going to have drop-in hours, and this is great if you just have a quick question for an advisor that you need to get answered. You can use the calendar to search for the Zoom link that will take you to the drop-in hours, and then from there you can meet with an advisor.
Okay, great. So to recap, you're going to meet with your faculty advisor next. The information, their name, and the Zoom link for that appointment was emailed to you yesterday morning from nso@lclark.edu. So if you're not sure, you should be able to search your L. Clark email inbox and find it there. And you can talk with us this week and next using appointments or drop-in. And we're all really excited to talk with you more and get to know more about you. And we're here to help both us and faculty advisors. So we look forward to talking with you more.